Hi everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and earlier this morning we actually got the first trailer for Loki Season 2, which means that we are going to have another Disney Plus show coming out later this year for Marvel Studios. Of course, I know a lot of people are a bit mixed about the whole situation regarding the MCU, especially regarding the Disney Plus shows that we've gotten. Of course, last week, Secret Invasion had ended, and since that episode, it's been quite, reflective that a lot of people were not very happy about it. There were some very, justifiable criticism about Secret Invasion, and I know I haven't really for me, I've talked about a lot of what the episode itself, would imply about the MCU. Like I did my my episode reaction for it. But I haven't really discussed about my actual feelings about the show. So I hope to do that for a separate episode, for a separate video to really just talk about the whole situation regarding Secret Invasion. But of course, with that being the case, I know there is definitely a lot of people are a bit unsure and are a bit frustrated, regarding the MCU right now, especially in the TV aisle. We just had something like Secret Invasion that kind of slumped, and it's like, do we have the energy to go into another Marvel show and, and then just have something that's been so hyped only to kind of, disappoint at the end. So, but now, even with that being the case, I think what makes this one so unique is that Loki, right? We've actually followed Loki's story back, was it like a year or two ago? 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. And this is actually, I believe, the only Marvel show on Disney Plus that was renewed for an additional season. So that was something we all expected. This was something that the final episode had basically confirmed that there was going to be a season 2. And now here it is. After 2 years, we're finally getting the second season of Loki. Now, there are definitely a lot of questions going into it. For one thing, for what I remember with my own experience with Loki, I thought, generally speaking, it was a good show. It wasn't the greatest show. I think once we got to the finale, I'll talk about in a second, but once we got to the finale, it kind of, it did feel as if I wanted more. And this is kind of a whole trend in Marvel Disney Plus shows, because for some reason, Marvel can't seem to land on their finales, hence last week with Secret Invasion. But I think for that one, it was definitely opening up the doors that there was going to be season 2, right? And here it is. We're finally getting to season 2. We're about to dive far more into the whole situation about TVA, the Nixes, multiverse, all that sort of stuff. We know from the last episode that, because of what Sylvie had done, killing He Who Remains, that basically unleashed all these Kong variants out into the universe. And as a result of that, Loki ended up in a different, dimension that apparently seems to be ruled by some form of Kong variant. Now, we don't know what this would imply. We don't know what the direction's going to be. We don't know where the original Mobius is. We know for a fact that Sylvie is somewhere out in the multiverse hiding. There are definitely a lot of questions going into it. So, it's something that is, as we're getting into season 2, it's okay, what will this imply for the multiverse? At least with Loki, it is definitely the one that is far more direct in terms of really delving into the concepts that's basically going to be setting up the big points going into the Avengers movie, right? Because again, this whole saga is really called the Multiverse Saga. So Loki is definitely the one that basically launched it, in a sense. I believe it's the one who launched it, or and WandaVision kind of launched it, but the Loki was the one that really started to dive into the actual concept, giving us the idea, the whole sort of concept of what's going on with Nixes and the excursion, all that sort of stuff, right? And it's something that it's kind of trying to build up to. We'll see how this season is going to try and deal with all of those dilemmas, especially because with Loki, the last poster that we did get isn't actually season 1, the season 1 finale, but there was actually that post-credit scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania where we do see Mobius, or some form of Mobius. We don't know if that's the original Mobius or if that's a Mobius that, Loki's with at the end of the season, or we don't know which Mobius it is as of yet, but we do know for a fact that Mobius and Loki are somewhere, probably time traveling in time, or went to a different dimension where they see this Kong variant who happens to be an Albert Einstein sort of version of Kong, and we saw that version, and then we'll see kind of how that builds up, why they're doing it, the implications for the future, of course, and for season 2. So yeah, now that we've actually got the first trailer for it, we'll probably get far more details about where season 2 is going to go. Now, of course, there's definitely this one sticky situation with regards to season 2, and that is Jonathan Majors. There's just no kind of ignoring that whole situation. As we all know, like back in March, I believe Jonathan Majors had been arrested and then charged with what apparently he was alleged to have abused his girlfriend. We'll see how the whole trial plays out, because it's a very sticky one to really talk about. There's a lot of things that, a lot of people have talked. Some people have come out, yet there are all these evidences. It's really hard to say where this is going right now. I'm not going to, I'm not going to demonize him in any way, even though because I don't know what the truth is, right? So I can't say for sure what's going on with what the truth is behind this whole situation with Jonathan Majors, if he actually did it, if he's not done it. But there is definitely this bubble right there where, because of the legal problems that Jonathan Majors is kind of it's basically facing right now, we don't know what the future looks like for him in Marvel. Now, with Loki, at least with Loki, right? That was already finished a long time ago. Like Loki season 2's filming had been done way before the whole, sexual allegations or the, what was it? I think it was the assault allegations, right? The sexual assault allegations or anything like that. It was done long before that. So it's not something that Disney had any way of, removing him or replacing him, because it had already been done. So he will be in season 2. I think after this season, it's definitely going to be the question of where is Major's future, his prospect in terms of Marvel Studios regarding how his legal situation goes. So that's something I wanted to discuss a little bit about, because I know I haven't really, really kind of talked about this in, any point in the videos until now, of course, because now, there's just no way of ignoring it. But we'll see how the trial goes. We'll see what ends up, coming out of that case, because it's just a really hard thing to kind of see where the truth is, right? So, and I don't want to go ahead and say some things that I have no clue about. I'm not a legal expert, so again, I just want to get that out of the way, of course, because this is, related to Loki and the future of the MCU. We'll see how all that goes and what this would imply for Jonathan Majors' future. But with that being said, right, again, when we go into Loki season 2, we'll see where the story goes, what this implies for Loki and his purpose in the MCU, what this could mean for the future of the MCU. Could this be building up to a big moment as we get closer and closer and closer to Avengers, Kong Dynasty and Secret Wars? Now, of course, with the writers and actor strikes going on, we don't know if we're still going to have those planned out on those specific dates yet. So there could be a delay for all we know, but we'll see how it all goes. I'm willing to wait if it means having to wait, especially with kind of the course that the MCU has been going on right now. The quality has been very inconsistent. So I would prefer that they do take more time to really establish the world building as well as the storytelling and the big concepts. So that once we do get to the big movies, that everything starts to really come together cohesively. So, with that being said, I know I went to a whole lecture about this, but yeah, I think I basically pinpointed everything I need to say. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right down into the first trailer for Loki season 2. It looks like this is right from the season 1 finale.
We have a little bit of a situation we wanted to run by you.
Tobias! Wow! Great to see you again!
That's what's been happening.
Wow. Time
He's like having like the Spider-Verse
you
effect.
know that?
Yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah.
Can you fix that?
No. It's impossible to time slip in the TVA.
I know, but we just saw it happen.
Yeah.
Man, I love King Quan.
I've been pulled through time between the past and the present. Hello? If what I saw is true, there's nothing to stand between this world and utter destruction. Only one way to find out.
Little good old-fashioned legwork. Listen, we have different styles. You're a man of action, which is fine. I take a more slow, deliberate, cerebral approach. It's really goodbye.
Oh, she's
It's
back.
up to us
Oh, okay.
to save this place.
Is this cracked?
You're good.
I love King
Whatever we
Quan.
do.
Oh my god.
We're playing God.
We are gods.
Oh, I see his old costume. Oh.
But how do you choose who lives and who dies? Make the hard choice.
So this is like right where the
War is on its way. Come on, you're the god of mischief.
Always have been. Always will be.
Okay.
A little over the top, don't you think?
I thought it was spot
3
on.
Loki. Oh, that's his projection. Okay. Keep forgetting that he can project. Alright, so that was the first trailer for Loki season 2. I think it looks really promising. I think, for one thing, of course, it definitely has that techno, vibe that we got from back in season 1, where, yeah, you get the hint of comedy, but also how you can get the sense of this really serious, like, atmosphere, what's going on, because again, they're dealing with something that could really destroy time and space continuum, right? So, that was something that I really thought was, I really noticed right off the bat was like very interesting. What really caught my attention was the fact that, you can see Loki, or at least the Loki that we're seeing right here, that he is kind of like, how do you even explain it? Like he's really kind of getting, like, how in like Spider-Verse, where we saw with Miles Morales, how because he is traveling through different dimensions, that he starts to kind of have all these effects because he's not in his dimension. This is something that we're kind of seeing here in Loki. So I wonder what this could imply. Like the fact that we're seeing like a similar effect with Loki that we see from the Spider-Verse, where they're kind of malfunctioning in a way, right? They're kind of just like, they're not being, they're not being stable with their whole environment from their body to the universe, right? I wonder if this, like, I don't know if this is a coincidence, or if, Marvel is just like, let's just take this idea from Spider-Verse and integrate it into Loki. That was definitely a very interesting one. I think the big question is, if this is happening now, why is it happening now? Why we haven't seen this before? Because, like, you would think that, because at least in the previous season, right? Like the first season, they did sort of, time travel, or at least travel within different dimensions, and we never really saw them spazzing out like that, like where they're feeling as if they're not in control of their body. So and their body is kind of like mutating in a sense. So I wonder why we haven't seen this before, why it's happening now, like what this could imply. So that's one thing for sure that I have a big question about. Again, Quan, I mean, I think this is going to be his first season. I think this is going to be his first appearance in the MCU in general, but Quan, I mean, absolutely just seeing him really lit up my face, because I love Quan. I think, again, we all know that story, his comeback story with Everything Ever All at Once, him winning the Oscar back in February. Was it February? Yeah, I want to say it's February or March. But man, just his story, it's just been spectacular. Like, you really feel heartfelt about it. And just seeing him just having this huge comeback is great. And I mean, once I saw him, like, his first appearance right away, like, he's, like, there, like, literally the first 5 seconds. I was just like, oh, man, I absolutely cannot wait to see him. Like, he already seems as if he's going to be one of the standouts in the show just because of his energy, just because he's so energetic. And you can just get from here that he seems really hyped up. He seems really super excited. I cannot wait to see him in this show. How he will be very integral into the whole storytelling for season 2. So that's something I cannot wait to see. Of course, we saw some other aspects here. I think the action looks pretty good. Like, I think overall, it seems very promising, the direction of the show. We're seeing Sylvie again, for one thing. I think, like, at least from one image that we had seen before, it seemed as if she had been hiding or she's been keeping a low profile since what happened in the finale. But now she seems to be very active again. So definitely questions about, what her pursuits are, because she kind of already accomplished her goal back in season 1. But now she's back in, the multiverse, jumping around, and and they eventually somehow reunite, because we do see that one scene between her and Loki, where something must have happened, right? So I wonder if this is going to be a case where she's going to try and redeem herself to fix the multiverse, or handle whatever Kong that they're dealing with, because we are dealing with some sort of Kong variant. It looks like as if from the trailers they are kind of going back to the basis of how to kind of figure out the whole multiverse TVA sort of situation, because it does look like they are going back in time, or they're going to a universe where it's still kind of like in the early 1900s or late 1800s, early 1900s. So we'll see where that goes. There's definitely that footage that we saw from Quantumania in this trailer, of course, where Mobius and Loki are at this, presentation by the smart version of Kong, or the Albert Einstein version of Kong, right? So definitely wondering where this is gonna go. Like, I mean, I'm gonna assume that with him, he knows so much about the multiverse that he could be the one unlocking all the information, all the details that we need to know about how to really stabilize the multiverse again, and that alone allowing Loki to go back to where he was initially, because now it's not just a multiverse within, like, Earth, right? Now there's a multiverse within the TVA, right? That's what's really going on here. So now it's a far more critical situation going on in Loki. So we'll see how all that goes. Again, I think overall it seems really promising. I mean, I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I think we all love him as the role. Just seeing him continue on with the character, even despite what happened to Loki in Infinity War, it's great. I mean, if he's going to be kind of the forefront of setting up the multiverse story, right? That's going to build up to what could eventually be Avengers Kong Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, right? Like, it could be setting up those storylines. And if he's going to be very integral to that, I cannot wait to see it. Like, I mean, hopefully we'll see where Loki's character is going to go, because it is very kind of complicated with him, because technically speaking, Thor knows that he's dead, or at least he's dead in his universe. And there's definitely kind of this situation where Loki kind of has his set, course. Like, he's supposed to be dead. Like, by the time he gets to Infinity War, he's supposed to be dead. Like, he doesn't have a future beyond that yet. There are cases where, a lot of the timelines do not, fit the primary timeline, and that's what really led to the whole situation with TVA, why they're catching all these stray Loki, Sylvies, other forms of variants who are not staying in their course. So we'll see where it all goes, because again, this is an alternate Loki that we're seeing. This is not the Loki that we saw in the early parts of the multiverse saga. This is not multiverse saga, sorry. The early parts of the MCU. This is a far more different Loki from a different universe, different dimension. So again, we'll see where it all goes, because again, I think right now, the thing that for me is, I would say it kind of irks, is the fact that we still haven't really kind of dived too deep into the multiverse as a concept. Like, this is something that I wish that I wish Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, would have actually gone deep into, just because I feel like that was what I thought the movie was going to really kind of be the purpose for, and it just never really did. Like, it never really served that purpose. And we're still kind of at this phase where it's like, we've had so many movies, we have so many TV shows, and yet we haven't really gotten too much of an idea of how the multiverse works, right? Aside from, Loki, I feel like Loki has really been the one that has been giving us sort of this blueprint of what this whole situation is like, why we're in the multiverse saga, why this is so important for, some of the later films that we're going to get, and why this is now the central story for the multiverse that we're in right now. So yeah, we'll see how it all goes. Again, I feel like out of all the shows that we've had so far, because I know right now there's definitely this decisiveness about, the whole quality of Marvel cinematic universe as of this point. It's definitely been very inconsistent. It's definitely one that, hasn't been very, doesn't have a lot of ingenuity. There hasn't been a lot of creativity behind it. It hasn't been the most cohesive storytelling, let alone the fact that a lot of, the buildup of the characters that we've been seeing so far hasn't really stuck the land, especially in terms of like Disney Plus TV shows. As I said before, they're not able to somehow stick the landing. So, and that even is the case of season 1. I think that season 1 overall was a pretty good season. I think that was definitely one that really kind of allowed us to see the world building that is the multiverse, understanding the whole concept behind it, why it is so integral, why it's so important. I think that was probably the one show I think has been the most resourceful so far in allowing us to understand the multiverse saga. Now it's a matter of trying to continue that momentum and allowing us audience to really kind of figure out what they're imagining, what is basically their vision going into the multiverse saga, what they were trying to accomplish in terms of the storytelling, how it kind of brings together everything else from the other TV shows and movies that we've had so far. And of course, again, like, this is not going to be connected to Secret Invasion. So thankfully enough, a lot of people don't have to be concerned about that. But I think, again, hopefully as we get into season 2, that it really starts to give us more answers about the multiverse saga, as well as hopefully could, at least be a far more optimistic route, or far more optimistic, experience where, at least with the storytelling, it will be far more cohesive. It will be far more consistent. It'll feel like an actual storytelling that, is worthwhile watching. Again, like, I will talk about Secret Invasion at some point this week, just to kind of respond to what has been going on what has happened since the finale, and give my own personal opinions about it. But hopefully going to season 2, I will be watching it for sure. I will be, waiting to see the show, when October comes around. I think it's a pretty good time to actually put up Loki, just because I think the Halloween theme and, Loki's far more like ominous, atmosphere really works out very well. So it'll definitely be quite an experience for it. And hopefully then when we get to season 2, it will start to really kind of, I hope that it will be one of the more, high quality shows that we do get before the end of the year. So yeah, I think that basically all says about what I have to say about this trailer, as well as season 2. I cannot wait to see it. Hopefully, again, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that things work out with this show, and that it actually, it continues at least, because again, I think season 1 was a pretty good show. It's not the best. I feel like at this point, we have yet to really have a show or Marvel Disney Plus show that can really exceed WandaVision. I think WandaVision was kind of was the gold standard, and that was kind of it. And we haven't really had anything else really replicate such success, such quality that we saw with WandaVision. I feel like Loki could be the closest that we have so far. Again, this is the only Disney Plus show that we have that actually got renewed for season 2. So yeah, that was the first trailer for Loki season 2. I think it looks really promising. I think, again, in general, Loki has been far more one of the better shows I've seen so far. But what are your thoughts about it? Are you planning on seeing season 2 despite what has been kind of this whole course with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do you think you're gonna give this show a chance? Did you like season 1 and you feel like you like season 1 enough that it is worth watching season 2? Having said that, what are the theories and predictions going into the new season? Like, do you think this is going to be really crucial into really kind of giving us the answers regarding the course for the multiverse saga and some of the upcoming Avengers movie that we're going to get? At some point, are we going to see Loki become far more integral into the universe, right? Like, will we see him coming back at some point into the timeline that we've been following for the most part? And in terms of that, right, like knowing the fact that Sylvie has, already accomplished her motives, has already, gotten what she needed to do back in season 1, do we expect some sort of redemption for her, knowing that she is still far more significant into this new season? What is the fact that's going on between her and Loki, that they are, together at some point? And yeah, let me know if you have any other theories, predictions going into the new season. Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.